Ajahn said a few weeks ago, akusala hinders the development of understanding. And when people hear this, they think, oh, I have to eliminate akusala first. But that's not the case, because Ajahn adds understanding what has been conditions to appear now. But even so, maybe it's good to know that akusala hinders. But in what sense, I'm not quite sure. Maybe Ajahn can elaborate on that.
I think Ajahn's not with us yet. The message says Ajahn will be late. So we should start first.
So maybe Sarah knows something to add.
For example, like last week, we discussed how clinging and expectation hinders the understanding of the truth. So this is one example. So it can be quite apparent when there's just clinging to get the answer, or clinging to understand, or clinging to have metta. It hinders the actual development of understanding now, or metta from arising, because it's like we're blinded from the truth at those moments of clinging with ignorance. So no one can stop having expectations, no one can stop clinging, no one can stop having ignorance. But those dhammas can be understood as they are, as hindering understanding at this very moment, when there's wishing for something else, wishing to have another experience, wishing to understand, wishing to have more kusala. It actually prevents all that is wished for.
So it's good to realize that it's by conditions that this wishing occurs. It occurs again.
Always by conditions. And it's good to realize, to appreciate that the wishing doesn't help, wishing to end suffering, wishing to understand. It's good to know that it's lobha, and it actually hinders at this very moment when it arises. Because when there's wishing, there cannot be any understanding at these moments.
Yes, counteractive, really.
But there can be appreciation about kusala occurring. So there can be the knowledge that, how do you say that? There can be the knowledge that without wishing, suffering will end. Can't there?
Does wishing lead to the end of suffering in any way? Or does
no, I'm not talking about.
just...
I'm not talking about wishing. I'm talking about understanding. So there can be moments of understanding that, without wishing, there's a path to the end of suffering. So that's a sort of appreciation. So at the moment when there's appreciation about the moments that without wishing, it's the path to end of suffering, it's very complicated what I'm saying. It can condition kusala citas.
You know, I understood what you meant, Mark. I think you may have been misunderstood there, but I hear what you were saying, that was supportive of what Sarah was saying, that wishing and pushing, or that sutta, I'm thinking of the Ogatarana Sutta. You know, sometimes it's translated straining, but I think actually I was just thinking when I heard Sarah say that wishing could be another word for that ayuhana. But anyway, that's another story. But I think I believe that what Mark was trying to say was that he was in agreement with what you were saying, Sarah.
Yes, I am in agreement, but there is it seems that what you were saying is that how do you say that? You say there's nothing we can do to have more kusala citas. That's what you're saying. But at the same time, understanding can do that. Chittas
Yes.
with panya can generate more kusala chittas. So if we,
Certainly.
so that's I think that's the, if you say we cannot do anything to have more kusala chittas, that's right, but understanding can do that. So if we see that difference, I think that's the way to have more kusala, to the arising of more kusala chittas.
Certainly, and that difference may be quite subtle at times, but there is a difference.
Yes,
there is definitely a difference.
I think it's a big difference.
Yeah, definitely a big difference, because one is kusala and one is akusala. So, and the teachings, as we know, have been reminded many times, are subtle, but it's getting to know those subtle differences so that there is not the wrong path being followed, as you seem to be indicating, Mark.
And when there's the understanding, then it's the opposite of the wishing. So because when it's the understanding, it's the accepting what is there, the understanding what is at this moment, not wishing for another reality or something else, or expecting something different to appear to what is experienced right here and now.
Yeah. And I think sometimes
Suzanne is here.
Yeah, Ajahn Sujin is here now.
Right.
Swadika, everyone.
Ajahn, we are talking about that akusala hinders the development of understanding, but you also said understanding what has been conditioned to appear. That is the main thing. And we think it's good if you can elaborate a little on that.
That's why I think that should be the understanding of what is the object to understand. What is there now? Or is there understanding of that object already or not yet? That's why we begin to talk about that which is now appearing, to understand the nature of that which is there as it is, not as we used to think or take it for something instantly, but in truth, there must be just one moment at a time experiencing an object. But that which arises and falls away in a split second is so very, very rapidly. So nothing is known about it until there is the words of the truth to consider whether what is there in a moment, from moment to moment. Otherwise, there is no life at all. Without any moment which experiences an object, it's not life. That's why life begins at moment of birth, on, and then seeing, and then thinking and hearing, on, feeling pleasant or unpleasant, until the last moment of this life. So who is there now? Or nothing, only that which appears to that which experiences it. Is that not true? To understand really what is there, only one object, one reality, one truth at a time. Or otherwise it cannot be understood as is so true right now. What is there? No one there at all. Is that true? Is it truth? Or is a lie? Seeing, where's anyone? It just arises to see and then gone. And thinking is not seeing. So this is a truth in life which can be studied, to let go the idea of ignorance, taking it for something so very permanent as I, from birth up to now, and then on, endlessly, until death, and then start again, to be different ones, different moments, different experiences by conditions. That's why just learn to understand the truth, that's all. No one who can do anything. No one who can try to let go wrong understanding, because even wrong understanding is real at that very moment. What condition wrong understanding to arise? Ignorance, not understanding the truth of what is there now, which is so very subtle. Just one moment, thinking about that, one moment in split seconds, the truth is that because what is taken for something is seen, actually, it cannot be anything at all, because only a process of seeing. What is seen is only that which impinges on the iris, not anything like flower or curtain or bed or pillow. It's only that which can impinge on the iris, condition the reality arises to experience it, and then gone. No more, everything gone from the moment, secretly. Is it true? Just consider to understand what is true. That's all in life. Otherwise, there's no understanding of the truth of anything at all in life. And understanding is conditioned too. It cannot arise. Nothing can arise without conditions for its arising properly to be such and such. Even thinking right now is conditioned by previous accumulation of thoughts about this and that, what is true and what is not true, what is heard, whether it's true or not, from moment to moment, to begin to have interest in whatever is there now, to study it, to learn to understand. Otherwise, what is the worth of life? Not understanding anything at all. Well, it is there so that it can be object of understanding of its truth. That which is seen only at moment when it's seen. Is that right? And if there is the idea of it's still there, it's only thinking about that which is seen. But in truth, when it's not there, how can we think that it's still there? It's only imagination about that which is there as it keeps on there, but actually it's not at all. Because in truth, there must be other reality right then, which is experienced after seeing or hearing on and on and on, non-stop, unrest. Right now, arising and falling away by conditions, that which appears and that which arises, but it does not appear at all, because only one reality can be directly experienced as it is. This is just to understand what is life, what is this moment. Even we grow up, go to school and have many ideas about anything, everything. But what about now? If there's no word to think about it, no thought about it at all, what is there ready to be known, to be studied, whether what we heard is true or not, about that which sees? It sees now. It is conditioned to arise, and it's not there anymore. After it sees, the other moment is not seeing, unknown again and again and again. But there can be a moment of beginning to understand the truth because it's there. Just understand what sees, what is seen. No matter we know many different things a lot, but no understanding of this moment. Is this the understanding of the truth of life? It's not just thinking about it, have some ideas about it, but the truth is there. It is seen for the other reality. Sound, smell cannot be seen at all. But what is seen is just the moment of seeing when it's seen, that's all. No one there, no thing there. If there's no nimitta, shape and form, image to be known as what is it, by memory, remember the different sign of it as something all the time. But in truth, what about moment when one is fast asleep? We take life as this and that, different events and situation and problems and everything. But where are they now while one is fast asleep? And what is the truth of the moment of being fast asleep? Each moment can be studied to understand that it's just there, only in a moment, and then gone, never to return at all, no matter what. Is it not true? Seeing right now is not seeing a moment ago. Thinking of that which is seen is not being controlled at all. It's not controlled. No one can control it, because what is there is already conditioned to arise. No one can make it, no one can change it the way it is, as it is conditioned to appear. Touching, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, only different realities in life, arising and falling away, never to return. Is this not true? Just learn to understand the truth, that's all. And understanding is different from ignorance. What is there is not understood as it is. It's just there. No understanding at all in life. But there can be moments of hearing, considering just right now, beginning to understand what is meant by the world. If nothing arises at all, there is no world. So whatever arises is a world coming together, appears something, not understanding. What is taken for something permanent is not there anymore. How many moments of seeing? Not just one moment. Different object is seen from moment to moment, never lasts at all, gone completely, never to be found anywhere, anytime, at all. This is true for every moment, no matter its moment of seeing, sleeping, or moment of death. It's there. What is taken for death is just the end of that which is conditioned to see, to hear in this life anymore. To consider only that, whether it's true, and right understanding cannot be changed to be ignorance and wrong understanding. It's so true to the truth.
Ajahn, you spoke about a test some weeks ago. You said the accumulation of kusala and akusala can be understood as a test. And I'm not quite sure about the word test.
You mean death, D-E-A-T-H? Is that right?
Excuse me?
Test, T-E-S-T, Ajahn, test.
T-E-S-T, test, okay. If nothing is there, can there be any test? So what is the test? There must be the reality which can experience an object. And just take something away at this moment. Can it be seen? Something in front of us, can it be taken away? And if it's taken away, can it be seen? To understand the truth, any moment can be studied, that is to be tested, can be tested whether that word is true or not. What is touched? See, can it be smelled? Can it be the smell which is touched? Impossible. To understand the truth, anytime when what is there, to understand that no one at all, as it's there, it cannot be changed. And actually, in truth, it's gone instantly. But right understanding is not enough to let go. What is there as a lump of so many things unknown, but it's taken for one thing. But in truth, what is there? One doorway at a time to be experienced. Like a cake, it's smelled, it's tasted, it's there, but they are different. So what are there in what we take for one thing? Through different doorways, there must be different realities. Would you like to taste? Or is there already just to consider the truth? And the taste is that if there is the understanding of no one at all. What about at moment of hearing harsh word? What feeling is there? No one. So can it be moment of unpleasant feeling? That is a test too, how much understanding of the truth after hearing the truth about what is there now. No one. But at that moment of hearing sweet music, what is there? Can anyone stop liking it? It's a test. Whether can one or can anyone stop conditions for such feeling to arise? It's there before there can be any idea about it, to stop it or to let it keep on being such so pleasant. To understand that what is that, it's not under anyone's control because in truth, there's no one, but there are conditions for everything. We can talk about the condition for seeing or the moment before seeing and moment after seeing. There are conditions for their arising, unknown. That's why the enlightened one just understand what is there, which is not known by the others at all, because no accumulation enough to penetrate the truth of that which is penetrated by the enlightenment right now. The breaking world, because the world is that which is conditioned to arise, and it falls away, never to return at moment when it appears so clear, because there's nothing there, only one object which is experienced can be directly known while nothing is there at all. So what is the meaning of that? Only one reality at a time, beyond expectation. Otherwise, that cannot appear clear enough at all. And when it's clear, it's gone and then pop up and then gone and gone. Nothing stay at all. Nothing lasts. All gone. But what about that moment of experiencing the truth of what is there, which succeeds one another so rapidly? So it has to be the very sharp understanding, which let go, wrong understanding of what is that enough as something, the whole so big, or even so little, but it's something. But in truth, what are there? When it's touched, when it's seen, when it's smelled, when it's tasted. See, just different moment of experiencing different things from moment to moment. That's all in life. And then all forgotten. Last life, completely forgotten. And this life, even yesterday, forgotten. Even just a moment ago, forgotten again. Just experience to be forgotten. What's the use? No one and no thing at all. Even at moment of being fast asleep, is it a test to understand the truth? how much understanding at that moment about no one and no thing when nothing appears. But when something appears, something is there because of ignorance of the truth. The test is moment when you have food, you like it so much. Can there be a moment of understanding it? Just one reality at a time is there to be known. The test is that whether right understanding is enough to be conditioned to just experience, not at will, but by conditions, no selection for any object, because there are different things there by conditions. So it depends on conditions, which one is the object of sati, awareness, and understand the truth of it. Otherwise, there's no understanding of anatta, no one and no thing and no world. So in truth, no world, no one and no thing, only the arising and falling away by conditions of dhammas, different dhammas, by different conditions. So at any moment that it can be the test for panya to know how much panya is there. Right now, the test is there. When there's ignorance, not enough panya to understand what is the. And when there's no understanding, it's ignorance, unknown, because it's always there in life after seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching.
So the test, Nina, is always at this moment, like last time you mentioned about fear. So it's so common, but is there understanding of it now when it arises, or seeing now or hearing now? Because it's not a matter of how long we've studied or what's happened in the past, but the test is always right at this very moment. Whatever happened in the past, the akusala or the understanding, it's all gone. So the test is always now. Or if, like Mark was talking about, the wishing or when there's the wrong idea that someone can do something, that is the test at that moment, whether there's any understanding of that wishing which hinders the development of understanding or not. So it's always at this very moment, no matter wishing or fear or kindness or seeing or hearing, it's life now. So the test is at each moment. And if there's no passing of the test now, what about tomorrow or next year or in the future or next life? So it's always the test right now, the test of understanding what appears at this very moment.
It's a good answer, yes. The test is always now. Yeah, whatever questions we hear about.
No matter we're speaking or we're quiet or we like what's said or don't like it, the test is right now, the citta at this very moment, the seeing now, the thinking now, the clinging now, the aversion now. This is the test at this moment.
Can I ask about a question about test? It seems testing may be in itself a kusala, because if there's a test, it seems there is a wish for an outcome, or is that too can be very much mistaken? But that's what's entering my mind. So we are testing to what are we testing and why are we testing?
In truth, it's not we who is doing anything. We're not testing. We're not making an effort. But if there's wishing for an outcome at that moment, that is the reality, different from the moment of understanding what appears. So at the moment of understanding what appears, there is the understanding of what the Buddha taught. There is the passing of the test of at that very moment, not by I wishing or trying or doing, but understanding begins to develop. So it's not I testing or trying to test or anything like that. But this moment is all there is in life. So it's just a question of whether there is understanding or not to be taken too literally.
So maybe you can say it's not the testing which is now, but the outcome is now. So now shows kusala or akusala.
Understanding or wishing, trying or not trying.
Yeah.
No one there at all, no matter what happens, no matter what arises. No one that can wish, no one that can understand, no one that can make an effort. Just different dhammas arising and passing away to ignorance or understanding. That's
With me, it happens. So what very much happens at these moments, like now, it's that if you say it like that, I experience the fear of losing the self.
And this is
you're describing moments without self, and I experience in myself the clinging to self, the fear of letting go of that self.
And these are dhammas as well, like the example Nina gave last time about the same kind of fear, loss of control or loss of the idea of self. But it's real, that fear, and it's because of clinging. Without clinging, there's no fear. But these are dhammas, not my fear, not my clinging, and they pass away instantly. So the test is at this moment, any understanding that even the fear is just a dhamma, and then it's gone at the moment of smiling and being happy or a little understanding, no fear at those moments. So it's just for a moment and then gone, just a passing dhamma.
And what I understood, Mark, with Tanajan just before, was that, yes, whatever's said, you can always look at it in different ways. But of course, Tanajan is encouraging understanding, which I kind of felt that your question was kind of just leaning towards, well, it could be misunderstood, sure. Any word can be misunderstood. And the Dhamma, as we know, is subtle. Dhanajan was reminding us that, when I thought quite brilliantly, really, that that the present moment is the test. You know, is there understanding or is there not? And of course, anybody can misunderstand what those words are about too. So we can appreciate the subtlety of the Dhamma at times, and you know, we can misunderstand it or we can misconstrue what has been said. But Tanajan was reminding us that, yeah, that this present moment is the test. Is there understanding or is there not? Or is it just, you know, what as Sarah's been alluding to, potentially just more kusala or more misunderstanding, which can so easily happen from moment to moment. And a lot of it unknowingly, you know, there's a lot of ignorance, you know, in the day, tremendous amount. And that's just the nature of things. And that's all right in a way, you know, it just happens by conditions. And the more understanding, of course, the more we're able to let go of the different of different misunderstandings that we have, but it does take time.
And also, I think
there are many
quick-
words which generate a person to me. When I hear the word, the testing is now, I hear someone is testing to get an outcome. And at that moment, there's already misunderstanding. And many words, like in the, how do you say that? In the posting, we were talking about striving and one should do this, or a bhikkhu does this. At that moment, when it generates persons and it generates myself, and at that moment there's already misunderstanding. So I find it also hard to listen to the Dhamma, because the listening many times generates self and it generates persons, and it's an how do you say that?
It's
well,
whereas in fact
keep
it's
listening.
not,
I think
it's not the listening that generates the idea of self. Of course, it's
No,
the
you're
accumulated
right.
tendency. But
Yeah, you're
I take your point, and I think your reaction on reading the suttas that you just described is a common one, and we've all been through that stage, as it were, of thinking that it's talking about what we should do. So
It's
I know
funny.
you're considering, I just want to make one quick comment on the test is now. I think also the implication there is the test is not at some other moment, it's now. So we may also incline to think, if the situation was this, if I were there, if I was in this posture, or so on and so forth, then, you know, there'd be a better chance to have understanding. But that's not the situation. It's
right.
It's now that counts.
I'd like
Yes,
to
thank you.
have someone elaborate on that. The thinking does not generate the dosa. At this moment, I can join Mark because it does, or anyway, conditions do, and I am listening, generate overwhelm, more self and clinging and dosa. And this has been happening for maybe 2 weeks. I guess it's the aimlessness that there's backdraft from the self, aimlessness of life, of daily life, and worthlessness is added to it by self. So it's a lot of dosa and misunderstanding. And it's funny because there's also been many other moments where there was relief of no self. But at this moment, I can really understand, Mark, that the listening does generate, and that's the belief. So I'd really like you to, well, have your comments.
So
Chanti, you can see that it's exactly what we're discussing here. We're talking about conditioned dhammas that arise by conditions. So at one moment it's kusala, another moment akusala. One moment is understanding, another moment is misunderstanding. So that's the way things are, and that could be a condition for you to be even more motivated from dosa to appreciate what you just heard. So it's just different conditions.
And without the accumulated ignorance and attachment, could there be all that thinking about the aimlessness and the overwhelming and the disturbance and difficulty? So as understanding develop, it's more and more apparent just how much clinging there is, how much ignorance there is, and how it conditions all this despair and disturbance when it's not as I would like it to be. So without that clinging to the self, there couldn't be all that thinking. And when listening, there couldn't be the disturbance So we think it's the listening, we think it's the situation, but actually it's the accumulation of clinging to oneself that causes all the difficulties in life. Well,
Yeah,
and the more understanding, the more ignorance is revealed.
And I was just going to say, Shanti, that we can't have clarity all at once. That's just not realistic. And as much as we'd like there to be clarity all the time, that can't be. And having those moments of, shall we say, lack of clarity, or moments of misunderstanding, or moments of confusion, that arises by their own, as Jonathan mentioned a moment ago, our own accumulations from moment to moment. Sometimes there will be confusion and doubt and blowback, or whatever, it doesn't really matter the label you want to use. That will happen sometimes, and that's just the nature of conditioned dhammas. We don't know what's going to arise from moment to moment, but there can be understanding that's gradually developed and appreciates the nature of conditioned dhammas. It's just, that's the way they are. They cannot be changed.
And
Yes.
and Sundara, wouldn't you say that that's the test of how much understanding there is, right?
Yes, certainly.
But that causes, again, the more dosa.
That's okay.
It's good to hear, and I need to hear more about that. It's okay, and not the other side, because I've been, I guess, grasping a lot to akusala is bad. Akusala accumulates. Oh, that's only thinking, which has the undertone for me. Oh, thinking is worthless, and daily life is all the same. It's worthless. It's thinking. It's akusala, and there's been so much of that I really need to hear that that's okay. The other side, a little bit of uplifting. It's all right. It's a phase. You've all been through it. That these are the kind of things I'm picking up at this moment that don't cause overthinking, because there's overthinking happening. Although I understand that's the problem, that's the ignorance. There's still, but the ignorance is so big, and so much accumulations, and I guess
Shanti is that they're all different dharmas, and it's not my ignorance or my dosa that's so bad. They're just dharmas that arise and pass away. So the disturbance or the feeling of overwhelmed a moment ago, it's gone. So what about now? Seeing now, hearing now, moments of wise consideration. So when there's understanding, there is the letting go of the baggage, because it's gone. No need to dwell on it at all. It's all gone. All the dosa of the past, all the clinging of the past, it's all gone. So that's why we come back to seeing now, hearing now, different dhammas, no one to be found at all. Back to the test at this moment.
Tana Junkup, what would you say there to Chanti with regarding feeling sort of overwhelmed and confused at times, different akusala dhammas arising? What I would like to hear what you would say to Chanti in that particular time.
I think that if we talk about just one word at a time to understand the reality of that, we use that word. Otherwise, it just talk about any word without any understanding of the truth of what is there at all. That's why I'm interested to understand what is meant by aimlessness.
Well,
okay.
As I understand it, Chanti, yeah, please, you describe it. Please, you go ahead.
Aimlessness, sorry for the dogs. Aimlessness at this moment is the self trying to understand there's no self, and the self wants to be on top of it, wants to do, wants to be useful, and then tells itself, well, I am not real, I have no goal. That's the aimlessness.
So what is truth from the very beginning? Is there self? Because there must be the idea of self for every moment. I like or dislike, I'm overwhelmed, and so on. But what is the self?
Well, that's the problem. It's very thick.
Of the self, there is the idea of aimlessness. But what is in truth? What we mean by self or aimlessness?
It's the moha speaking with dosa and loba and ditthi. So it doesn't want all that.
So it's a self who say it's self, it's moha. But in truth, what is that we take for self? Otherwise, there must be no understanding of aimlessness, because it's I who is aimlessness, right?
Yes.
So the self is aimlessness at that very.
Yes.
So what is it? The self itself. Is there any self in truth? Or no self, but there is the idea, not understand the truth of that as it is. So there is the idea of no one, only me. So it's me or myself. But if there's nothing arising at all, can there be self or things? Not only me, there must be things around too. As there is me, there is something outside. And I see, and I have arms and legs and head. But in truth, what is it that we should take it for self? Is it permanent? Is it anyone can make it arise? Or by conditions? To understand what is that cannot be any self at all. It cannot belong to anyone because it's there by conditions. The river, the moon, the sun, the universe, by conditions. So in truth, what is there? The feeling, unpleasant feeling, those are, if they're arising, appearing, can they be I at all? So to understand the absolute truth, because no one can change the way it is at all. For example, now, who conditions seeing to arise, or who makes seeing to arise, and who makes thinking to arise, it's there by conditions already, but no understanding of that which is there. How come to be different ones appearing at different doorways? And this can be directly developed truth by developed understanding. It's so true that the sound is real, it's heard, but what is it? Without that which shares it, can there be the sound appearing as sound at all? Not at all. So what is the absolute truth of this very moment? Does anyone make it arise? Impossible. It has arisen and then fallen away unknowingly all the time. And is this true? Because the moment of birth is not this moment of seeing. It's not the moment of being fast asleep. So where's the I? And what is the thinking or the idea of aimlessness?
Yes, thank you, Kun Sujin. I guess, again, the self wants to join these two worlds and doesn't know how. That there is a reality, but also much more apparent is this conceptual world, and the self wants to throw away the conceptual world. And it doesn't work.
Why would you want to do that?
Because it's not real, so that why should you want to live in a world that
does the enlightened being want to throw away the conceptual world?
I don't know.
Cindy, we have
so.
to live in the conceptual. I mean, sorry, Shanti, we have to live in the conceptual world. There's no choice. Okay, we live in it. But there's if there's understanding that what it actually is. Okay, that it is that it doesn't have the characteristics of reality. It doesn't, because it appears to be permanent. It really isn't permanent either, but it appears to be that way. And so that kind of ignorance, but with this acceptance that we have to live in that world in order to carry on daily activities and to do whatever we do every day. It's not, because when you reject the conceptual world, it's just a form of dosing. Okay, it's just dosing, saying, "Oh, I don't do with it." It's not conducive to understanding. It's more an acceptance that in everyday life we have to do all these different things, and where we're so that we live in this conceptual world, just accept that it is, with the understanding of what it actually really is, and the fact that we have to that we
You're
can live
right.
side by side with.
Yeah, exactly right. There's no acceptance at all.
Chanti,
It's just the way it is too. Sorry.
Chanti, actually, wouldn't you say that if there was no conceptual world, it would mean there's no reality? It is because reality, there are realities that there's this idea of conceptual world. So this thinking is the result of different realities. The problem is that these realities are not known, and hence the conceptual world is mistaken for reality. But if you want to reject the conceptual world, then it's as good as saying that there shouldn't be realities.
Yes, but I don't mind. That's Nibbana.
No, I don't think so. I think.
This is-
Yeah, keep going, Jonathan. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is not what the Buddha taught, is it? He didn't say, don't think in concepts. He didn't make any suggestion of reducing somehow the thinking in concepts. He only pointed out what are realities and that they are to be understood. And that is exactly what Sukhin is saying, that yes, there are realities and they aren't understood and they need to be understood, but that doesn't mean that the conceptual world ceases to be of relevance. So the Sotapanna, for example, who has eradicated all wrong view of the way things are, lives a life, or can live a life the same as you and me, a family life, including raising a family. So there's no actual, from the outside, difference between the way the Sotapanna lives life and you or I live life.
I know,
in terms of
but
being in the conceptual world.
that's exactly where I'm at. I do have a problem with it, and the Sotapanna doesn't, but I do. And also realizing that there's no way of getting out of it, and it's so tiring. This living, dukkha, rebirth.
Shanti, do you think
By
the Buddha could
conditions,
have?
by conditions. We are where we
Shanti,
are by conditions.
Sorry.
Go
Shanti,
ahead,
do you
Mark.
think the Buddha could have taught the Dhamma without a conceptual?
No, but why does it end in Nibbana? For me, it's again, at this moment, saying, well, all these realities and conceptual world, they're so much dukkha, and it's only Nibbana that's whatever.
It's our lack of understanding. I'll just say I appreciate what Mon Betty just said a moment ago there, that some Bodhisattva or conventional truths are absolutely vital for our understanding of the deeper truths, the Paramattha Satya. We need those, and we can't rush our understanding to a point where that becomes where the world of Paramattha Dhammas, which are occurring now, can can be understood clearly. We can't rush that. That has to be understood by way of some mutisatcha. So these conceptual truths are absolutely vital for us to understand deeper truths. There's no way around that. As Mombeti said, we need them. They're essential. And the more understanding and the more subtle and the more sophisticated that understanding is of conventional truth at the level of when we're talking about Dhamma, that can help our understanding grow little by little. But it is a gradual. The path is a gradual path. It's not something that that can be hurried. And of course, we know that we've only got. We all have certain accumulations, and that's what it is. It just is what it is. We can't have more understanding than has been accumulated. That's impossible. It's like we're trying to extract something out of reality that cannot be. So it's a slow and it's a gradual path. So we just have to be, I guess, not have to be, but it's about kanti. It's about being patient and listening and careful consideration of dhammas from moment to moment, instead of trying to we can't push, and this is, I suppose, some of those suttas are about, with about right effort, or the yoga Tarana Sutta. There can't be the pushing, or there can't be the poking, and there can't be the straining, or whatever word you like to use. There they used, in the Pali, they used the word ayuhati, which means the kusala chanda that some people wrongly have in thinking that there can be, but with that kusala chanda, there can be the realization, or it can move them closer. But in actual fact, there is a sinking. There is Dhamma doesn't work like that, and it is subtle.
And Chanti, there is a difference, I think you can appreciate, between the understanding that understands rise and fall at the level of vipassana and sees the uselessness of experiencing all these realities, and the dukkhaness of all these realities, that it arises again and again and again, and the dosa that may have been conditioned in your case, and which is not conditioned by understanding.
Mhm. That's very apparent, yes. But still, can't do anything about it. And there's lots of protest here.
Well, in a sense, I think you are doing something about it. I mean, I've always appreciated reading your posts, Shanti. You're a very sincere and honest person. And you're able to see at times, just where perhaps you might be going in ways that are not so helpful. And I notice and I hear other people, by way of emails, other people reminding you of this. And that's just the nature of things at this point in time. So I hear the wisdom that you've accumulated. And sometimes I hear the impatience. That's understandable. I think, I think we all would like to be at the stage of Sotapatti Magga, and that would be wonderful. But of course, we know that that's not realistic, and situations are the way they are, and we can appreciate that. I think that's possible, and I hear you do appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah, so there's very much inclination to in Dutch we say lay the bar high, have many expectations of myself, and then of course it's wrong understanding. But these are the conditions, and the teachings on one hand are very much a relief, but the accumulations come back. So, oh, no, this is not how you used to do it, and that's what's happening. Yeah, just sharing. I'm very grateful.
No, we appreciate that, and Sarah and Jonathan and Sukin and Mombeti, we're all, and Mark are reminding us that great patience is needed, at times, and for whatever level we're at, and also for the nature of our own accumulations. Just that's where the way we're wired, or however you like to express it. We are the way we are, and that cannot be changed, and it's unrealistic to expect a person who has got certain types of accumulations to be other than what is being manifested. That's just the way it is. And I sense that you see that. Yes, you would like to be otherwise, but you know also that it can't be otherwise.
So what about now, Chanti? Is there thinking about aimlessness, or is there expectation, dosa, or seeing, hearing? Because the test is always back to now.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster of relief, and then, oh no, but this, and gratitude. Of course, a lot of thinking, but somehow many things. Yes, many good things also are absorbed, and the goodwill of everyone. And I see Mark smiling, so some recognition. And that's what I meant to get. So yes, I'm very happy, and can't accelerate, but I sense where it's coming from, this big rebellion, the high aims and expectations, and then the aimlessness. And well, I wonder why in my story I always lay the bar higher and higher, because at one moment doing the meditation, it was great to sit and do nothing, and that was already a big challenge. It took me years. And then I fall into a group where I realize you're still doing things, so drop the meditation. It's funny that this is happening for someone who likes to do. And now I understand
what you're talking about is the second noble truth. So whatever arises and falls away is, in the deepest sense, unsatisfactory. Dukkha, every reality is sankhara dukkha. And the second noble truth is clinging, which causes all the difficulties and the arising of whatever appears now. Because without clinging, there's no life. So it's bound to be like that. But even the clinging is just for a moment and then gone. So it's just moments of seeing, moments of hearing, moments of thinking about aimlessness, thinking about self, thinking about the bar or the lack of bar or the meditation practices. Just thinking
and
about
the anatta, because I really would have liked, to be someone that has a career and everything, but it's not happening. It's really anatta, that I'm not drawn to that, what I want. I'm drawn to letting go.
Even the seeing now, who can decide what seeing sees? Who can decide what hearing hears? Who can stop the seeing from arising when they're conditions? So in truth, just different dharmas arising by conditions and falling away, each one unsatisfactory, each one unimportant. So whether there is clinging and expectations and different difficulties now, or whether the moments of kindness and smiling, they're all just passing dharmas of no consequence. Each one is gone. So for the test now, never mind what appears, because understanding can pop in any time.
And
everyone.
Alberto, I'm sorry if I put you on the spot, but I'd love to hear what you would say to Chanti in this situation.
Thank you, Sundara. It's long stories, and we don't understand the reality because of thinking about the story. Yeah, that's the way it is. even now, it's a story about me, my what I like, what I dislike. It's the way samsara is. I mean, and we like it and we dislike it, and we can't do anything about it. We can just listen to the wise person, which can help us to see a little bit more about the truth and little by little and forget a little bit about ourselves and remember more about the reality which we don't know anything about. We talk a lot about it, but we don't know it. Not any single one. And because if we would know the reality, we wouldn't be so concerned about the dosa, the loba, the wrong view, because it's gone. It's not there anymore. It's just one moment after moment. It comes and goes, and there is loba, then there is dosa, then there is wrong view, then there is whatever, and there is also visible object. We keep forgetting about it, and there is seeing. But we listen to the person who can help us to see the reality, and that's the only way to listen to the right person, and then that's it, I think.
And I think I could just add briefly for Shanti that as understanding is developed, as I understand it, not necessarily less akusala in terms of emotions in one's life, but a better acceptance of that's the way that it is because of accumulated tendencies. So less the idea of thinking things could be other than they are, better acceptance. But again, we perhaps have an expectation that if there was more understanding, there'd be less strong emotions in our life, but not necessarily so. If that's the accumulated tendency, then those tendencies will continue to assert themselves, perhaps not quite as strongly, but they'll still be there, accumulated.
Isn't acceptance, thank you, also kusala moment?
Well, it can be. It would be if it was spontaneous and unprompted and uncontrived. Yeah, genuine acceptance.
Where you
Or
say,
in other words, a moment of understanding.
It's thank you, Sukin. It's a manifestation of a level of understanding.
how do you explain that there is more understanding, but it doesn't imply there's less akusala?
Because the accumulated tendencies don't actually get eradicated until much later. So they remain accumulated. So if the conditions are there, they can manifest. So understanding is, as it's developed, it doesn't cut off the akusala tendencies until the stages of enlightenment, or perhaps at some of the vipassana jnana stages, but for our purposes anyway, in this lifetime,
Because it's very
given the
important.
limitations, yeah.
Because I was understanding it or taking it more as like we're talking about the test. The test is now.
Taking it as a measure of development, right? And thinking that if I'm if I'm having this emotion, that emotion, it means there hasn't been any development of the path. Not
Yes.
so. Yeah.
And how long has that ignorance and that attachment and all those expectations been accumulated for? Aeons and aeons and aeons, countless lives. So it has to be like that. And when understanding develops, as Jan often mentions, like in the sutta we read about the wearing away of the axe handle, just wears away so little and so slowly it's imperceptible. And if there's the expectation that life will change or suddenly there will be less clinging, then it's just more expectation, more clinging to self at those times, but that can be known as well.
There's a common misconstruing of the teaching to the effect that mindfulness is a strategy for having less kusala. That's not the Buddha's teaching at all. Even though mindfulness has the function of guarding the sense doors, yes, but it's not a strategy for having less kusala.
And what is there mostly in the day? So a moment of passing the test of understanding for a moment, and then countless mind or processes with clinging and with dosa and with ignorance. So the more understanding, the more the akusala is revealed. Even now, it's just the tip of the iceberg. So much more to be revealed that we have no idea about. We only see the gross akusala that is apparent. What about all the subtle akusala, the asavas, the subtle clinging, completely unknown, but it's there and it has to be seen and just understood little by little.
And the understanding that knows the tip of the iceberg knows that it is that level. It does not mistake for deeper understanding. A Sotapanna does not think that he is a Sakadagami or Anagami. So understanding knows where it is at.
And first of all, it has to be the wrong understanding of self that is eradicated. So understanding that whatever appears, whatever arises is just a Dhamma, not me, not my problems or my accumulations, just seeing which sees now, thinking which thinks, clinging which clings. This is what is most precious.
Yeah, so what's happening is that the akusala that arises now, if it is what's happening interpreted as having a direct relation to no understanding of realities, that's not the way, because then it's a strategy. And the akusala arises because of conditions that I cannot know. And it doesn't mean there's no understanding of realities. I sense I have to re-listen, but it's very important what you all said, that there's no direct relation, because if there is a direct relation, it would be a strategy. And I guess that's what
Whatever's arising is just for a moment and then gone.
Yes,
It's gone,
this is
it's gone.
another misconception, especially held among meditators, I think, that what you want to see is the kusala and not the akusala. That's the whole purpose of the meditation. So I'm afraid that's a recipe for suppressing any acceptance of akusala, not recognizing it because you don't want to see it. So, but accumulations will always win out.
And we want, in meditation, we want to see the akusala with kusala, with acceptance. Then it's okay. Yes, thank you very much.
It's not just that. It's not just wanting to see the kusala, as Jonathan was saying. It's actually believing that one is making kusala arise by sitting.
Yeah, that's a good point, Sukin. You know, it's true. I believe that's very accurate.
I disagree.
I knew you'd come in on that one, Mark. Just the point we were discussing.
Just for the
Yeah.
record, just for the
Right. Go on. No, go on.
But if you sit and meditate naturally without expecting akusala or kusala, it should be okay.
But Sita, the thing isn't the point of sitting down is with the belief, with the idea that that sitting down and watching is a useful activity.
No, no need in not thinking in that. Naturally meditating, I find it's okay.
I mean, why would you do it? Why would you choose to do that and not do it? It's because you think that doing it is you're doing something useful.
It's if it's useful, okay, that means it helps.
I mean, isn't that what people who go to meditation centers believe? That if they follow what the meditation teacher instructs, they are on the path. And being on the path must be kusala. That's implied, isn't it?
Yeah, there are many different kinds of hundreds of meditation centers. Like if you go to a monastery, that's something different.
Yes, but they wouldn't teach you, no matter which technique, they wouldn't teach you or recommend it if they didn't believe that it is a useful activity.
To be on the safe side, if you go to a monastery, there you can do the meditation and you understand that this is about the present moment and it's gone, and it's okay. It's natural.
Yeah. So that's saying that when you sit down, you begin to understand the present moment.
Yeah.
And this is the way to do it. To understand the present moment is to sit down. So it means that if you do it, you will have those moments of understanding.
Yeah, in a natural form.
Yes. And once you know the present moment, that's supposed to be good. That's supposed to be kusala, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
without expecting kusala or without expecting akusala, just sitting.
Yeah, but knowing kusala, knowing akusala, knowing whether there's attachment, whether there's this, whether there's that knowing itself, isn't it implied that knowing itself is kusala?
Yeah. Before, when I did it, I didn't know about akusala or kusala. I come to know this since now, but then there was a time that I do it. I would not say naturally without thinking about this kusala or it's normal.
Mm-hmm. And whether what do you mean by naturally? Whether you when you say naturally, what is understood? So if you're just saying naturally, without understanding, it means that there's no understanding. And yet
No,
there's a belief that there's some understanding about natural.
naturally, in the sense, if you meditate on the turning of the wheel, yeah, that is how, when I understand, that was the moment where Buddha had some doing a incorrect way, and then starting to find the middle path and all that. You understand, and then the meaning of this Dhamma Cakapa Watana Sutta, and then if you meditate, you understand. I don't think about akusala or kusala. You know what I mean? Although,
Yeah, I know. You don't think they are in the process of going there. You're advised to have a particular attitude towards what you're doing. If they say to let go or to not think in terms of this, or not even think. Some people even say that there's something wrong with thinking and all that. But all that, isn't it implying that what you're doing, to know all that activity is a good thing to do?
yeah, or when we chant in the monastery, something like the Karaniya Sutta, with or metta, then you do it naturally, understanding as well, of course, the contents of the sutta or the chanting. Then it comes in a natural form.
Okay, I think I'll leave for someone else to say.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Tanajan Cup. I think there might have been some listening then to that what was said. It seemed to me that we can understand, or we think we can understand, when we use the word natural. But I'd like to hear what you mean by the word natural, Tanajan.
Ajahn, we cannot hear you.
I forgot to turn on the microphone now. I heard Kun Shanti say that I don't mind. So what is that you? Do you mind? Is Kun Shanti there?
Yes, Kun Sujin, I thought it was for Sita. Here's Shanti. I don't mind.
Yes.
Well, that's the I.
Someone said,
wanting...
I don't mind. But
yeah.
Do you mind?
Of course.
You do mind.
Yes. I mind, I want kusala. I don't want akusala. And I don't want samsara.
Yes, but what did Buddha say about that? Is there mine? Is there me?
No.
Limited thing. So what's the Buddha about the truth, the absolute truth? And
yes.
When we heard about his word, we can understand the truth of what is there, even right now. So, do you want to meditate, or do you like to understand what meditation is?
No, I'm not the one meditating anymore.
This is a general question for anyone.
Yes. Okay.
So anyone can say more about it. For
yes.
example, would you like to go to meditation safely to practice, or do you like to understand what is meditation? What meditation is?
in the end, it's always understanding that we want.
Understanding the truth of what is there now. Can there be more understanding of the truth to let go the idea of self and ignorance?
Yes.
To understand the end of conditions for whatever arises, not to arise again anymore. Absolutely. So what is the words of the Buddha for anyone to understand the truth, to develop the path, to penetrate the truth of what he has enlightened the truth? What is there now is conditioned to arise and fall away instantly, never last at all. Any moment can be understood. Seeing right now is not thinking, it's not hearing, and they cannot arise together at once. So what is the truth? To let go the idea of self, because he taught about no self. So when that I don't mind, so what is that you do mind? You Shanti, anyone who
Yes,
works said.
I guess the one thing happening all the time is that there's minding we cannot do anything. And the words of the Buddha point to something we want, or I want. I want the understanding, and I want it now. And I want to do something about it. So whether it's for some meditating or for others studying, we want to do it. And that's the moha and the dosa and the lobha and all of it. So it's, yeah, it's so sneaky. We want to understand, but in the meantime, we're in a hurry and going the wrong path.
So now shall we begin a new question again? Not about...
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone? Meditation center or meditate?
Oh, maybe, Konstantin, last time you said, do we want to know more about sati? And you reminded us that we could know more about sati this session.
Is sati wholesome or unwholesome? Just consider. Only we heard the word sati, so it's wholesome or unwholesome reality.
So, Bana?
No idea at all about what we said. What is it to understand from the very beginning, whether it's wholesome or unwholesome? Even no understanding of sati at all. But having heard the word sati, what is it? Is it ignorance? That's why we have to understand the truth of each reality so very deeply, because they are there now, unknown. Even ignorance is there now, not known. Or even sati at moment of understanding is an unknown. That's why there must be the idea of I hear, I think, I understand, I don't understand. But actually, in truth, there are different realities. So the Buddha said, Dhamma. See, it doesn't mean anyone at all. But that which is real, why it's real, is there now. And whatever arises and appears is conditioned by its proper condition to have less clinging to the idea of I see, I think, I meditate. So we have to understand the basic meaning of the teachings of the Buddha, to have right understanding of that which is there, to be known instead of ignorance, not mind, not understanding at all. But the truth is there to be known because it's so true in daily life. There must be seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking, liking, disliking. Viriya, and so on. Many different realities. Buddha used the word realities, no one, because it has its own characteristic, conditioned by its proper conditions to be that very level of even sati. Many levels of sati. At moment when there is intellectual understanding right now, who knows what is there? Not I understand, but what are they? There must be sati. But if Buddha didn't point out, who knows that what is sati, at what moment it is sati, and sati at what level? Otherwise, meditation, to meditate about what, on what, understand what, because what should be understood is just right now, anytime, any reality, enlightened by the enlightened one, and taught about the absolute truth that nobody can change, because in truth, no one, if no reality arises and appears and then disappears, can there be anything or anyone? So there must be the reality which cannot understand the truth, ignorance. What is seeing right now? What is there? Unknown. And that is no one, but the reality which cannot understand the truth. And when there is the hearing about it, to understand the truth of it, it's time to consider whether it's true or not just to believe that doing this and then you understand that and then you attain that, but no understanding at all. So is that the Buddha's word, the enlightened one, just ask people to do, not to understand? Impossible. That's why he taught for 45 years. To understand what is there, even right now, and just a moment ahead. Any reality which is there can be studied, can be realized. It's there and then gone unknowingly. But it can be known little by little to understand that in truth, what is there at moment of birth to death? No one at all. Is that true? Just to understand the truth little by little, to let go ignorance and clinging. So if one would say, that I don't mind, so what is that person do mind? To be truthful to the idea, the thinking, considering about what is there, whether as it is or not. What is seen in truth, without that which impinge on the eye base, can that be seen? And what is really seen? Just a moment of seeing that which has impinged on the eye base. Can it be the whole world? Many things around. Impossible. That's why the truth has to be studied to realize that it's deeper than what it appears. So now, at moment of hearing, there must be no seeing, no thinking, but everything seems to be there altogether. That is not the truth of each moment. It means that there must be split seconds moment, it's split second moment in truth. That's why to learn to understand that what appears is not just one moment of what is there, but there are many moments of that which is seen to form up the idea of different colors, different shape and form, to be known as, that is what? A cat, a dog, a plate, a chair, see? Is that not true? To let go the idea of I or thing, to understand what is meant by the absolute realities, the conditioned reality, to arise to be as it is conditioned. Not different from what the condition it to be. So is there anyone here and now, or in truth, only seeing, hearing, thinking, liking, only that? never arise again when it's gone. And this is life, changing all the time from birth to death. Some pleasant moment, some pleasant is not pleasant, some moment is not pleasant at all. Who can make it arise? Who can change it because it has arisen and fallen away in truth? So it depends on what we mind to understand the truth, or no understanding of the truth, just want to gain something different or strange happenings. What for? It's not true, because the truth is this moment. If this moment is not understood, how can there be the understanding of that which is there and then gone, never to arise again in samsara? So whatever is heard can be studied, because it's about that which is now appearing. So it conditioned the moment of beginning to understand the truth, that actually, before there is understanding of the truth, there must be ignorance about that which is there, because no thinking about it at all, no attention, no awareness. So how can there be the understanding of the truth that is not there at all anymore? Just a moment ago, completely gone, never to arise again. And if there are conditions for a pleasant feeling to arise again, it's not exactly the one which has gone. Impossible. So what is the end in life? What should be mind? Should be minded to understand the truth. Live for a long, long time without understanding what is there as it is, and begin to understand the truth, the absolute truth of that which has its own characteristic, different from the others. Only one in samsara, and only once in samsara. Is that not true? Can there be more than the 6 hours in life? Just experiences. And when there's time, nothing appears as the object at all, while one is fast asleep. No idea who am I, or is there I, or is there anything at all? And then wake up, not understanding what is there before waking up and what is there after waking up. Ignorance. As soon as one wakes up, no understanding of that which appears at all. But there can be the development of understanding. What is the best moment in life is to understand the truth of what is there as it is. To have less attachment, less ignorance, because nothing can be taken for myself or my own or whatever at all. Only wrong understanding, taking it for something permanent with aim for what? So what is the best thing in life? Begin to understand the truth of what is there appearing, or no understanding about its truth at all. Accumulation of ignorance, attachment, and other unwholesome moments, unwholesome realities, on and on, more and more. So even it's there appearing as it's seen, but no understanding. At moment of hearing, even sound is heard, no understanding of that moment at all. So the ignorance and all kinds of akusala is accumulated from moment to moment, more and more, stronger and stronger. And how can there be the understanding of that without hearing and considering little by little to understand what is true and what is not true? So even right now, there can be the beginning of what is true and what is not true. It's true in the sense of concept, conventional, but the absolute truth is behind, underlying, whatever appears unknown. Is that true? Just consider. And this is meant the development of right understanding to realize the truth of what is there now, as it has been taught by the enlightened one who had enlightened the truth. And this is a point of understanding what is there, to let go wrong understanding, little by little. So our akusala can be eradicated little by little, different steps, different levels, after becoming enlightened, 4 stages, to let go all kinds of akusala. So what is Nibbana? No understanding, no realization of the truth. So how can it let go ignorance and wrong understanding? So now, is there any moment of seeing the precious moment, the most valuable sankhara dhamma, that which is conditioned to arise, that it is only right understanding which can penetrate the truth of what is there now, arising and falling away, never to return. When it's true, it can be realized. But only by understanding and letting go, wrong clinging, wrong understanding, to take it for something permanent from life to life. As there can be a little more understanding of the truth, there can be a little more understanding of whatever is there in life at any time. And that is the development of understanding the anothness, no one and nothing, not trying to get somewhere something, just the different experience, unusual experience. What for? While there is the truth right now to be known, much more deeper than that which just arise by thinking, wanting, creating it to be such and such moment with ignorance and clinging. Because what is the truth of that? What is the truth of now? What is more true? That which hasn't arisen and that which is now appearing. And I think that each word can be considered carefully, more careful, little by little, to understand the truth of what is there, which is taught by the enlightenment, from the enlightenment of the truth. So, can this moment be known as it's taught? Why it is not known now? Because no understanding of each reality as it is different one. That's why they are taken as a whole. They are together like a pen, a dog, a cat, or everything. But in truth, each reality cannot be changed and it cannot be the other reality. Even they arise together, but they are different. Hardness is not smell, not temperature, not heat and cold. And before enlightenment, before noble truth, there must be the understanding of what is there in life to be strong enough to let go the wrong understanding of taking that for something permanent. So what is aimlessness? We can talk about anything to understand the truth when it's there at moment of aimlessness. What is that? There must be a reality. Otherwise, there cannot be idea, aimlessness. So now, is it aimlessness? In Thai, I would say, we just speak the word that we don't know from birth to death. For example, I am hungry. What is the reality? If there's no reality, can there be the idea I am hungry? So there must be something in what is there. I like. What is there? A reality. What is it? If that reality does not arise, how can there be the clinging, taking it for I, because no one else at that moment who have such experience? So what is there experienced? It is I experience, instead of understanding that actually there must be a reality which can experience, and it has a reason to experience already. Otherwise, it's not there. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, liking, disliking. And is this not the developing of understanding? In Pali, it is patipati. And pati is to reach or attain. Pati, to reach or to attain. Pati, only one reality at that very moment. Only that particular one. It depends on whether it is seeing, or whether it is that which is seen, or thinking, or that which is thought about, and so on. Just one at a time, one reality at a time. Otherwise, they come together as something, as I or thing. So as long as they are together, not just one to be known, pati, only that, pati, just approach or reach the truth of that object with understanding. For example, that which is seen, only that which is seen, no idea about shape and form, only that very short and brief moment of that which is seen, cannot be anything at all. And that is the absolute truth of moment of seeing only. But after that, followed by thinking a lot in a day. That's why in truth, the world does not appear as it is, because in truth, there are more thinking than other processes, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. And is this true? If it's true, can it let go the idea of something or self? Little by little, when there's more understanding of the truth. Otherwise, what is the way to let go the idea of self of being? And at moment of what appears, ignorance is there, not understanding the truth. So it's the object of attachment instantly. What is there? Anything, what is there? It appears something there, but what is that something? So the question is, what is that? That means something. Not understanding that it's just a moment experienced and then gone. What is that? It's that which is experienced, sound or smell or whatever is experienced and then gone. So the enlightenment means the penetration of the truth of what is there right now as it is, arising and falling away, one at a time. So the first vipassana jhana is not that which the moment of experiencing, the nimitta of that which arises and falls away, but to realize the difference characteristic of that which is now. The experiencing is not that which is experienced at all. But in a day, no attention to that which experienced, but to that which is experienced all the time. At the moment of waking up, it's there all the time. Something, 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 because that arises and experiencing just one reality at a time, so rapidly unknown. So it's taken for something permanent. When there's understanding, is it aimlessness? Because it can be known a little more, a little more, a little more, until the truth can be directly experienced. No one there at all at that very moment, when the truth of what is there is experienced directly, direct awareness. So it is a life with understanding, little by little, developing to understand the truth. To let go the idea of I, because actually what is there is by condition. So very firm confidence of the truth of no one there. And that is part of me, never change, unchangeable. Because the truth is that it's there already. You cannot escape, no one can escape because actually there's no one, but only that moment of what is there conditioned to arise and fall away all the time, on fire of ignorance and wrong understanding. And all sankhara arising and falling away. Just understanding the truth, that's all. Nothing to be done, but the understanding is that more confidence of the truth at moment of hearing and considering, to understand that actually they are anatta, uncontrollable, no one at all, the way it is. So no matter what it is, it can be known as it is. No one there at all, just a reality. Naturally. Otherwise, ignorance and attachment is the unknown. Always attached to this or that. Anything can be object of attachment except the Intl.Dhamma. So consider what is true is so true that it can be understood at any time when there are conditions to attend to the characteristic, to think about the truth until directly understanding what is there as one has heard. Little by little, stage by stage. Is this what Buddha taught? Any word in Tipitaka? Vinaya, Sutta, Abhidhamma, all conform to the others because they are all true. So consider the truth, whether can it be known as it is, just one reality is experienced, and the reality which experienced cannot be anyone at all, right then. When it's only the one reality, and what is meant by only one reality appearing, what does it mean? So true in the moment, there cannot be many, many things right now as it appears all at once, but in truth, just one reality appearing. What about the others right now? It means that it's not the understanding of the truth of one reality enough yet. So it cannot appear as only one. But in truth, sometimes, for example, at moment of hearing, sound is there, but ignorance is there. The eye is there, and the idea of many things are there too. So it cannot appear as it is, as only one at a time. And if it's not only one yet as it is, it cannot be clearly experienced because no understanding at that moment. So when it means clearly, it means the understanding is there to take or to experience, to understand just only one reality at a time by conditions, sati, see. So we heard the word sati, but we don't know what is it. It's not I, it's not anyone, but it's moment of not forgetting the characteristic of that which is there, or the teaching about it. At moment of any ways or aspect of kusala, because sati is there, not forgetting about that wholesomeness. So it conditions moment of dana or sila, or thinking about Dhamma, consider Dhamma, and developing the understanding of Dhamma. See, those are sati with other cetasikas, but not one appears, it cannot be known, its characteristic. And this one, awareness, is not right understanding, and it's not satta, it's not other Bodhipakaya Dhamma at all. So we understand what is meant by the word of viriya, cetasika, and sammapadana. See, even they have the characteristic of a reality, viriya, effort, but developed to the nature that is the way, on the way to understand the truth. Not just no attention, don't mind and all about it and so on. And these are all in the teachings of the Buddha at moment of reading with understanding. There are much more meaning about the truth. So true that actually there's no one and no place for meditation at all. because what is meant by meditation is not the development of understanding what is there now, but it open again.
Then open diagnosis.
Thank you, Ajahn. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
So, Deepak,
Bye.
Bye-bye.
thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
Captain Ajahn.
Bye.